if you need to. Hi, this is Simon Leung from simonleung.com. Welcome back to our live show, still about nothing. But the $1,000,000 question is, how can you still talk about nothing, yet still go on for hours and hours and hours? This was a topic that we touched on yesterday a little bit, about how you can come up with different topics to talk about how you can do things with your time, and how you can basically fill up with content and make sure that whatever it is that you are sharing is actually valuable to whomever might be watching you. Now, if you're joining us for the very first time, welcome. If you're able to see me, if you're able to hear me, do me a favor, say hi in the comments so I know who you are. Let me know where you're watching from, as well as what time it might be. It is about 8:18 p.m. right now. I just came back from a nice walk, hanging out with the family, enjoying our Sunday. As you can see, we had some valuable family time on the beach and things like that. And so that's basically what life is all about, right? It's all about how you can do what you can, do what you want in the way that you want to, and still be able to live the kind of life that you want, the life of your dreams, so to speak. And so that's one of our goals that we have for a lot of these different kinds of live streams and meetings and things like that. So if you're again joining us for the first time, we welcome you. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what time it is, because we're always looking for the best possible time to join you and make sure that we are also all having fun at the same time. If you can see right down here, you can see that I have my YouTube channel as well as my Facebook page. If you would be so kind as to subscribe, like, follow, hit the bell notification so that you will know anytime that we are on, because we can literally be on at any time during the day, just because we want to accommodate for different time zones, and maybe we will be able to see some of you whom we had never ever met before. So a few of you are joining us already. Jeanette is saying, hi brother, I just finished dinner. Every time, 成日都食飯，成日都食好嘢。I just saw some pictures earlier. 唔知食咩？河粉啊，定唔係麵線啊？ And it looked really, really good. And so now I think we're gonna get ready for dinner as well, but not before we do this. Asher, I hope you got enough rest, my man, because I saw your picture passed out on the floor in your room. Hope everything is fine. Hope you are well rested. Definitely make sure that you don't sacrifice your health, because I will tell you, I've probably been working myself a little bit too hard for the past few weeks or a few months. I'm having some health issues as well. So make sure that you take good care of yourself. I will do the same. Make sure that we're all healthy, because people want to hear from us. We have a new friend. Hi, from the Czech Republic, 1:19 p.m. Thank you for joining us. I apologize. I don't know how to really pronounce your name. Is it Moji or Mohe or whatever? If you can let me know how you can pronounce your name as well, maybe in phonetics, that would be awesome. If we had Asher on right now, he would probably be able to pronounce your name, no problem. But thank you very much. I'm just gonna call you MS for short. Thank you for joining us all the way from the Czech Republic in YouTube. We welcome you. We appreciate you for saying hi. It's a great afternoon to you. So Sunday afternoon, hopefully you have yourself a great day. Carol is saying, hi, Simon. Very cool. Asher is saying, thanks, brother. Your advice well received. Yep, it's always the most important. We can talk about making money. We can talk about business. We can talk about live streams all we want. But without your health, you got absolutely nothing, right? So make sure that you take care of yourself. 叉雞米粉 yummy. Yeah, absolutely. 真係好正. I really miss the Hong Kong food, but unfortunately, at least until next year, we will not be able to travel there. So, very cool. All of you who are here right now, you know me, right? I always try and come up with some kind of topics, and a lot of times we end up going off on tangents because we have people who are coming in and saying hi, and that's a good thing. because it's real life, right? It's all engagement. It's things that happen when you are hanging out with people in real environments. So I really appreciate the opportunities to be able to engage with you and to interact with you. And as much as I can, I also always try and come up with a main topic that we want to talk about. Yesterday, we also tried to stick with the topic, right? To talk about the topic of coming up with a topic to actually talk about. But in reality, whenever, and this has been so for the last 7, 8, 9 times that I've been on these live streams, we very rarely get to stick with that topic just because we appreciate the engagement so much. And so the next $1 million question, though, in addition to just what are you going to talk about, is I know that whenever you are in front of the screen, right? Whenever you are in front of a room, at a seminar, you're almost expected to share maybe for an hour or 30 minutes. All the TED Talks, right? If you watch those, a lot of them have set time limits, 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And if you're going to be speaking at a seminar, you're almost going to be expected for a minimum of 90 minutes, sometimes in multiple sessions as well. For me as well, whenever I do my live courses, whenever I do my free mini courses, mini classes, and invite people to come into my room, the entire show is just with me. I'm the one who organized it. I'm the one who put it together, and I'm the main speaker as well. And so at the very bare minimum, it needs to be at least 3 hours long, because people, they take time out of their day, they take time out of their weekend or their afternoon or their evening, and they came to my mini courses with the expectation that they can learn about something, right? And so in that time frame, yes, I need to have a topic, but at the same time, I need to make it worth their while. I can't just sit around and talk about something for 5, 10, 30 minutes and say, okay, good luck, have a nice day, have a nice evening, have a nice life, or whatever else, right? They expect value. And sometimes, not always, but a lot of times, value associates with the time that you actually spent with them as well. So that's why, as a speaker, as a trainer, as somebody who, even without planning anything, in multiple times of my live streams, right, I would still come on, and I can still probably go on for a minimum of 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, or whenever we have special guests on like Asher, we go on for about 2 hours. And that might be a little bit long for some of us. We all know that not everybody is going to tune in every single minute of every single second of every single live stream that you're going to be on, and that's okay. But there will be somebody, there will be some people who will join you, who will be absorbed in your content. And if they have nothing else going on, if it happens to be the right time zone for them, they're not eating lunch, they're not working, they're not trying to cook or spend other ways of time, they're not sleeping, right? Then the good news is that for those of them who are actually invested in you and interested in what you have to talk about, then it is almost your duty, your obligation, your responsibility to make sure that you do entertain them, you do educate them. I believe there's a new term that's being coined around called edutainment, right? Which is a combination of education as well as entertainment. You got to make sure that you upkeep those people's interests, right? So this is a really good topic for us to talk about, because how can we actually make sure that not only is our subjects going to be good, but also it's something that's going to keep people watching and keep them sticking around and wanting more the next time that you are on live, right? And I'm not by any means saying that I am very good at this topic. No way, right? There are plenty of people who are so much better than I am. But at the same time, you will probably see some people who are commenting, who are coming here onto my live streams, and they are regulars, right? So we start small because we are small, right? I haven't even started doing this until probably a week ago, last Saturday. It's Sunday today, so today's probably like my 8th or 9th stream only. But at the same time, we've been doing this every single day, sometimes for as short as 50, 45 minutes or so, but as long as 2 hours. And so whoever's interested, they will come back. And regardless of what it is that you start to do, whether it's a brand new business, a brand new venture, a brand new live stream, right? a brand new show. People are going to start watching you, but not everybody's going to be interested enough to come back. And over time, that will happen for you. So still set your goals as we've previously talked about. Make sure that you have your objectives, know exactly what it is that you want to be doing. And then, of course, this is a goal and a long-term objective that you want to continue on. Okay, Carol from Madrid is saying it's 13:21, which is 1:21 p.m. And then she says, so I have to go cook something for the family. I'm gonna hear the replay later. So I think it's actually pretty common. Every time that we see Carol on, she's always hopping on to say hi. Thank you very much, Carol, for doing that. Hola, ¿cómo estás? I did not know that you're from Madrid, but thank you very much. Hopefully you are able to cook something nice for your family. It's been a long while, a few years since my family and I have visited Spain. Last time we went to Barcelona and also France and Italy, and we absolutely missed the food over there. So I am very interested in what you're cooking, but thank you very much for joining us and saying hi. Every time that we're on around this time, you always say, yeah, I gotta go cook now. So, every little bit that you interact with us is obviously very, very, very much appreciated. Gary Aiken says, I've got mates that can do that with ease, usually after a few pints talking bollocks. Cool. Yeah, definitely. We always like to hang out and have a good time and do fun stuff. So whenever possible, I mean, right now, one thing that we'll probably eventually get more into is talking more about cultures and different things like that. I'm in Malaysia right now. And so being mostly a Muslim country, usually we don't want to talk about drinking and alcohol and things that are not halal or whatever. But I think we have a good worldwide audience enough to say that it's okay. We have a lot of different cultures, and the next time that we happen to be at the same country in the same city together, I would absolutely enjoy a few pints with you as well, sir. Thank you, Gary, for joining us, and thank you for your message. Now, continuing on temporarily until we take another break to say hi to the rest of you who are kind enough to leave comments, let's go ahead and start talking more a little bit about how to talk for hours if we needed to, right? Now, for me personally, I'm an introvert. And I don't think there has ever been any live streams or any shows or any seminars or any presentations where I have not revealed that fact, that I am naturally an introvert. I don't usually like to talk, which is why it's so much more interesting that when I do need to, you can't shut me up. Right? If I'm talking about something and I'm on stage or I'm on the live stream, a lot of times I will run over time. I will over deliver, right? And that a lot has to do with the topic itself, which we briefly talked about yesterday, which we'll talk more about today and moving forward. But as long as you have a topic that you're interested in talking about, a lot of times that's what's going to be able to drive you to continue to share for hours and hours and hours at a time. Even if you are an introvert, even if you're usually not interested in talking, right? It's because you're so interested yourself in the topic that you simply can't stop talking about it. But I will say, I do have a slight advantage that over the past 15, 16 years or so, I've been training myself already. I've been putting myself into the mindset that I do need to deliver value and I do need to over deliver anytime that I take a stage or I have a mic, either on my hand or I got a mic that is plugged in, because it's when eyes are on you and it's when people are expecting to learn from you. They want to be educated by you. They want training. They want to be entertained. They want to laugh, whatever the reason might be, right? They are looking at you for a reason. And whether or not it's a paid event, some of my events are paid up into the thousands and thousands of dollars, but still, even if it is a free event, monetary wise, right? They're still investing their time in you. They're investing their energy, their focus, their attention. So it is still our responsibility to continue to share that kind of value. And so as a speaker, whether it's at live events or whether it's doing webinars or teleseminars, right? Back in the day where it is just a telephone, and if the teleseminar presenter is responsible or they want to deliver you value, maybe they'll send you in time before the actual teleseminar starts a PDF file, something that you can download and follow along, right? Because technology was not as advanced as it was back in the day 15, 16 years ago when I first got started. And so teleseminars was a big thing. But regardless, whether it was teleseminars or whether it became webinars later on, or whether they're live events, right? A lot of times they are expected to be a minimum of 60 minutes or 90 minutes, or sometimes even longer. Like I said, in some of my live mini courses where I'm previewing people to my classes and I'm saying these are the things that I will share with you today. Now, my preview courses are absolutely different from what a lot of the other previews might be, right? When you're here in Southeast Asia, especially in, let's say, Singapore or Malaysia or Indonesia, the term preview has been kind of coincided and been associated with a course that maybe is about 90 minutes long, that is designed to sell you something, right? And this has actually been something that's been going on for a very long time. It's a legitimate business model, but only if you are a legitimate trainer, if you are a legitimate business expert, right? And not what we call a fake guru. We're not going to get into fake gurus today, but the reason why I say mine are different is that in many cases, I am upfront with them and I tell them I actually have nothing to sell, right? The reason why I brought all of you here together is because not just I want to preview you something, but actually it is an actionable course where you can actually get results if you actually take action before the mini course is actually over. And it's not an hour, it's not 90 minutes, it's actually a minimum of 3 hours. And if they can spend longer time with us, maybe I will even over deliver sometimes, right? So how can I actually make sure that I have enough content for 2-3 hours at a time? How can I make sure that in the odd chance that in once in a while, I do promote a course where they can learn from me, not just for 3 hours, but 2-3 days, maybe even longer, when we provide that lifetime support, when we provide them additional live streams, when we provide them additional live webinars, where we continue to provide them with content, right? How can we make sure that we have enough content so that we can actually deliver all that time, right? All that content in that time that is allotted to us. And I'll tell you right now, if you tell me to go on for hours and hours and hours, for days and days and days, I will tell you no problem, right? Because I can do that. I've been doing that. I have been doing that for the last decade plus, but it didn't always start that way, right? It didn't always start off with me being able to talk for as long as I wanted to about almost any topic that I might just have a little bit of experience with. The reason why I've been able to do that is that basically over the last 10 plus years, I've allotted and accrued a lot of experience where I can share content, I can share stories, I can share whatever I feel is going to be helpful for the audience, for my students, the reason why they came here, the reason why they invested their times, the reason why they invested their money, even because some of them, they invested in the course, but they also have to travel. Sometimes if they're from a different city, they have to book hotels, right? They got to get air tickets, or they drove, or whatever. So in reality, it is really a big responsibility that is not just us talking for hours and hours at a time. That's the hours and hours that we spend with them. Each and every single minute, each and every single second is going to be something that they find value in. So that's why it is so important for us to figure out what it is that would be helpful to them. Now, for me, a lot of times, even if these live streams are of any indication, right, you can probably use these as models if this is something that you want to do. First of all, a lot of times I start off with the pleasantries, right? I say, hi, how are you doing? Today, this is what we are going to be talking about. Later on, we are expecting X, Y, and Z, but keep in mind, not everything always continues to go as planned. Maybe we will go off on tangents, right? So we share with you exactly what is planned, but at the same time, to expect the unexpected, right? Now, a lot of times, I also talk about things that may bring you value. So maybe I will share with you a little bit of what I did today earlier, right? Even though it might sound like it didn't mean anything, but when I shared that I just came back from a walk with my family and we went out and we went to the beach or whatever, it is indirectly sharing with you the power of the internet lifestyle, the power of having freedom. Yeah, I know today is a weekend, but today is Sunday and everything. But how great would it be if every day is a weekend? How great would it be if you can live the internet lifestyle where you can choose when you want to work, when you don't want to work, and how you want to spend your time if you're not working, right? How great would it be if, regardless of where you are, and right now I'm in Southeast Asia, we are talking to many people who are in very similar time zones. How cool would it be if you're working with partners, your teams are in the US, which means that maybe you work at night, and as internet marketers, as entrepreneurs, we do that anyway. But what that means is that during the day, you can spend that however you want. Spend it with your family, right? Spend it to aggregate a lot of personal time for yourself. A lot of people say, I don't have enough time for this, I don't have enough time for that, because the regular schedule tells us that we need to wake up at 6, 7, 8 a.m. in the morning. We got to work pretty much the entire day. And by the time you go home at night, you got to take care of dinner, and then pretty soon you're going to be very tired only to go to sleep and then do it all over again the next day, right? And the only free time, if you're lucky, is over the weekend or during national holidays or on your day off. So as you can see, right, a lot of these of what I'm sharing is not only, oh, this is what I did today, but it's also indirectly an inspiration for you and anybody who might be watching, who might be similar to you, who might actually want to pursue that kind of lifestyle, right? So for me, there's always different kinds of stories and different motivational things that you can share as well, which is some of the ways that I also spend with my time while I am on these live streams. Things that maybe I feel are relevant to my main topics. Okay, so again, sharing with you just a little bit, this is what I do. Or sometimes I might say, yep, things go wrong right when you're on live stream, or things go off topic, or sometimes technology may not agree with us, right? All these things, yes, they are personal experiences that I personally experienced, but at the same time, these are things that may also potentially bring you value if this is some venture that you're also wanting to pursue. Okay, things that maybe you want people to hear. Like, for example, I have a lot of stories and I have a lot of different circumstances or situations that maybe it isn't necessarily relevant at that point in time. But when I start talking about things like, yep, what can go wrong on a live stream at any given time, right? People can start to troll you. People can start to hate you. People, your haters, right, can start leaving negative things, even though it's not specifically something that I would talk about with no real reason or rhyme or whatever, right? It is associated with that topic. What to expect when you are on live streams, and how can you actually handle it when people are doing things that you don't expect, right? When things go wrong. These are all great examples, but at the same time, because I did mention, I want to be as transparent as possible, right? These are all situations where, yes, you will, of course, be able to learn from that. And of course, it is something that you can get value from. So I believe whether it's something that I want you to hear or I feel it is worthy for you to hear, right? It is something else that you can absolutely share. So again, whether it's live streams, whether it's videos, online business, or anything else, use these as different opportunities to share as much as possible. Now, for those of you who are just joining us, we're seeing more and more people who are coming in on the live streams. And what I notice is that a lot of people like to watch and stay quiet. Maybe after a few days, they would send me a message, and a private message, right? And say, oh, I've been watching you or whatever. But really, I would encourage you to, as much as possible, interact, leave a comment, let me know that you're watching, let me know that you're still on, what questions you might have, because at the end of the day, if you notice anything about my live streams, they're very similar to what Asher does in terms of we want to basically engage with you. We want to say hi to you. We want to know if you are watching, because that also is a contribution in terms of how I start talking about different things. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and continue on with some of the topics that we have planned to you on the subject of how to go on for hours and hours and hours at a time. What you will find, right, is that when you are interested in a particular topic, and especially if you are just starting out, this is going to be extremely helpful for you, right? Because if you're interested, if you're passionate about something, you can probably go on for hours and hours at a time. Now, for me, I've been doing this long enough to know that if I wanted to go off on a tangent, if I wanted to talk about a certain other topic, I can very easily spin that into an existing story, into an existing inspiration, an existing motivational concept that I have already packed in the back of my mind. Right. And so not always do I necessarily have to talk about a topic that I am passionate about. If I need to, at a drop of a hat, talk about something completely different and still go on for minutes, eventually hours, right? I can still do that simply because I'm used to it. I'm used to it. I have to experience, and maybe not every single thing that comes out of my mouth will absolutely make sense all of the time, right? But at the very least, you will still be talking. And what I notice in many different types of situations, whether you are on a live stream or whether you are in a live environment and you're talking about something that may or may not be relevant at that point in time to the topic, right? Sometimes what you'll notice is that people aren't actually listening to you anyway. Right? We actually talked about this in once or twice in my previous live streams over the past couple of days. People don't actually listen to you. You can be talking about something and they will actually completely ignore what you just said. And whether it's a positive message or a negative message or just a very generic question, you will actually be able to tell that they were not actually listening to you in the first place. Whether it's because they were doing something else, they're multitasking, they're asking you the question at the same time, they're trying to focus on different things, or maybe they don't even understand the language, which happens sometimes, right? They share with you a piece of message which is very evident that they have not been listening to you all this while. So keep that in mind when you have to talk just to fill time, because something is going wrong, something is not going right, something is happening, and you don't just want it to be silence, because silence is the clear indication that something is wrong. Silence is when people will now figure out, oh, that's not supposed to be happening. That's not supposed to be happening right now, right? Something is going on. Let's see how they figure out the problem or figure out the solution to the problem. And then it becomes a slightly different show, right? They're not here any longer for your content. They're here to watch a show to see how you deal with certain other kinds of situations. Maybe some people will think that there's no right or wrong reasons for people to be joining you, but I always want people to be along the same lines of the message that I have for them. Okay, so yeah, that's gonna happen. And so if you have to talk just to be talking because you need to fill up time, practice talking in these different types of situations so that even when things are going wrong, right, people can't tell. There are stories about people who are performing on stage, right? And if somebody, if something goes wrong, for example, I've heard stories where at some instances, somebody's pants fell off or their shoe flew off the stage, but they continue to dance in conjunction with everyone else. and only a very small percentage of the room actually notice that something went wrong. You will notice that the professional singers, when they are on stage, they're not always going to be able to sing everything on cue. They're not going to be able to hit all the high notes. They're not always going to be on pitch. They're not always going to be performing to their very best, right? But a lot of times, the professional way is that they will continue to do it, and they will continue to sing, and they will continue to perform as if nothing went wrong, right? And in many cases, whether it is they sang the wrong lyrics, right? Or they completely forgot what the words were, or they were doing something completely different and not in cohesion with the notes and the rhythm or anything else, right? A very small percentage of people will actually notice unless you make a spectacle out of it. Unless you say, oh my gosh, that wasn't supposed to happen, or wait, stop the music, or whatever else, let me start over. Unless you do something like that, right? Then people will notice that things went wrong. Now, do I always try to hide the fact that things are going wrong? No. In fact, whenever I can, I just continue to go with the flow. And when the time is right, I reveal that something was actually going wrong at that point in time. I'll share with you some additional instances in just a moment's time. But yesterday would be a great example, right? Yesterday, when I first got started, I did the whole, hey, how are you doing? Thank you very much for joining us, blah, blah, blah. This is what we're going to be talking about today. But because something of a major factor, which was important to me in my live streams, actually happened. That example, meaning that the engagement, the chats, the comments was not showing, right? If you have been talking to me, I would not know because something was wrong with my stream. And so I had no choice but to actually address it, but I was transparent. I was going to say, in order for me to solve this problem, I'm going to need to refresh the page, folks. Which means that you might lose me, which means that something may not necessarily go right. And so if that happens, this is what you should do, right? And so in those extreme situations where you have no choice but to address it because you need to solve the problem at hand right then and there, that is usually the only time that I would actually talk about solving the problem. But other than that, usually I would just talk to be talking. And when you are able to practice, when you're able to master this art to talk, right? Even when it's about nothing, even when you have nothing planned, even when things are going wrong and you're just doing this just to fill time. Once you have this skill, well, very, very cool, right? You can probably talk for hours and hours and hours at a time, even when you have nothing planned. Now, here's another thing that I feel is very interesting, because when you talk about whatever might be coming up, or whatever might be happening at that point in time. For example, what I just talked about, right? If you have nothing to say, if you have nothing more to share, and you're really just stuck on words, right? Then just be transparent and say, you know what? Right now, I really have no idea what I want to talk about next, right? I had planned this for you, and I finished talking about it, and I was really looking forward to the engagement, which is not happening right now. And so I really have nothing to say anymore. And when you say things like that, right? Well, now you're actually talking. Now you're actually sharing the fact that you have nothing to say. And that will maybe buy you another few minutes of time while you wait for additional people to interact. Today is one of those examples, right? Because in a variety of different instances, I do say, hey, if you can, say something in the comments, interact, say hi, ask a question, or whatever else. In the beginning, we were very good at that, right? I highlighted some of the people who actually said something, and we addressed you, right? We acknowledged you. But since then, there actually hasn't been too many people who have been engaging today, okay? So you're gonna get that every once in a while. But the time that you spend, right? The time that you actually spend on the big stage, the time that you spend while you are here on the live streams, a lot of it will be dependent on different factors, including how many viewers are actually watching you. Or maybe if you have no viewers at all, or maybe if you only have a few, or maybe in your peak, you have a few dozen. a couple of weeks ago, right, we did the 2-week Groovathon, which you can learn more about here. And when you go to simonleon.com/Groovathon, you will notice that in that particular show, where we were actually live for 14 days in a row for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as a result, a lot of interaction came about, right? Because we had many people who were in different time zones and people who are also waking up early and staying up late in respective time zones, so that we had more people. And at times we had hundreds, even thousands of people who were live watching us at different times of the day. And so when that happens, that's when you know, if you need to, you can always depend on the interaction of the crowd. Because regardless, I say something, right? If you can hear me, press 1, right? And then you, within 30 seconds, because it takes that time for the stream to actually go to them, you'll start to see 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and all these different comments start coming in. Anytime that you ask a question, right, within 20 to 30 seconds, whenever the actual stream gets to them, you will start to see the stream coming in, the comments coming in, and the interaction coming in. And so ideally, in the most ideal environment, you will actually be able to interact with people like that. And so when you do have hundreds of people who are watching you, right, and you can depend on them to interact, well, this will also help you to speak for hours and hours and hours at the time. But what if things are happening like today, right? I'm asking questions. I'm asking you to interact. I'm asking whoever is watching me to leave a comment, yet for minutes and minutes and minutes after that, not one single comment, right? What do? Well, in times like this, as you can see, for me, one of the ways is, again, I address it. I'm telling you that this is happening, right? Number one, maybe it will take up some time. And number two, maybe whoever might be watching at that moment in time, maybe it'll give you the encouragement to leave some additional comments as well, right? And so you're opening up the doors essentially to what may or may not happen. So that's another thing, right? While you're telling stories, or maybe you're depending on the engagement, if they are interactive, if there is engagement, then yeah, encourage that interaction. So people, right, ask questions, and they will ask you questions. And when they do ask you questions, you leverage that time and leverage that as an opportunity to fill up more time so that you can talk more. Or if there's enough people who are interactive, you ask them questions, right? You ask them, hey, what time is it where you are right now? Where are you from? Comment in the country, comment in the comments below. What is your country of residence? Which city you are in, right? Or if you say, how many of you have your own live streams? How many of you have done this before? How many of you have internet marketing experience? How many of you have your own online businesses right now? Say yes in the comments, right? So you ask them questions and you ask them to interact with you. These are all tremendous ways for you to fill up additional time. Okay, additional ways that you can fill up time. We can obviously invite special guests, right? Yesterday, as well as a few days before that, you will notice that out of the blue, impromptu, with no planning whatsoever, on two multiple occasions, we invited my friend Mr. Asher onto the show. And if you just simply watched the show yesterday, you can see that I experienced that problem in the beginning of the actual show. And then I said, hey, so this is what happens when you're on live, right? You have nobody in the background and you have no idea what's going on. And then Asher, who happened to be on the show at the time, he said, you know what, I can volunteer, right? Do you want me to be your backup? Do you want me to show up or whatever else? And I said, yeah, you know what, anytime that you're okay, I would appreciate that, right? And he says, I'm free now. So of course, bada bing, bada boom, I copied the link to the room, pasted it to him. He showed up, and then after about 30 minutes of just a monologue, me talking to myself, he suddenly popped on, and then we had the remaining 90 minutes or so to share additional content. So whenever you can, invite special guests. Maybe it will be at that point in time an impromptu thing. Maybe it's pre-planned, right? Whatever the case, having special guests, somebody whom you can be talking to on the live show, as opposed to a monologue, as opposed to talking to yourself, as opposed to freaking out whenever you feel like something might go wrong, right? Having a backup there and somebody whom you can have a conversation with and talk with, that is definitely a cool opportunity for you to have interaction. Okay, so while we do have a couple of new comments coming in, let's go ahead and address you. Mr. Alex W is saying hi. Hello back to you, Mr. Alex. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your message. Gary, he's saying, give my regards to Penang and Langkawi. I am in Penang right now. So, hey, Gary says hi, Penang Lang. Okay, so there you go. But Langkawi is a little bit far off. I went to Langkawi last year for my birthday. It was absolutely a tremendous, cool experience. I highly recommend it if you have the chance to do so. Definitely visit Malaysia, obviously not this year. We are closed, unfortunately, to foreigners. I am a foreigner myself, in case you're not aware, which means that I cannot leave the country and no foreigners can come in until next year. Okay, so whenever the country opens back up, the borders open back up, I say we all meet up here in Malaysia. We go to cool places like Langkawi. We go to different places all across the country. I also want to go back to Sabah, which unfortunately is the biggest red zone right now in terms of the pandemic. But whenever things are back to normal, go to Sabah. Let's go check out KK and enjoy some nice seafood, the weather, the beaches. It is just a remarkable experience. So all this talk, right, about vacations and holidays make me wish that our times of the virus and the pandemic are over so that we can actually do those cool things. But regardless of the case, right, we are here for you and we want to interact with you. Janice says, happy Sunday. I presume, Simon, Janice, happy Sunday to you as well. Alex is saying, oh, you're Alex from YouTube. So you're joining us both from YouTube as well as Facebook. Thank you very much for doing that. For those of you who are also joining us right now, here are my links to my YouTube channel and my Facebook page where you can subscribe, like, follow, and turn on the notifications so that every time that we are on live or anytime that we have any brand new content posted for you, you will be the first to know. You won't miss anything, and especially during these live events, these live streams, right? We want you to join us live as much as possible so that we can interact. Janice is saying, I am Malaysian and have not been to Langkawi. It's okay. You should, by the way, the next time that you come back this way, I think you mentioned that you might be from KL or something, right? Which is about 4-hour drive from here in Penang. But definitely, if you are having the opportunity to come back to Malaysia, I say let's all plan a trip to Langkawi, right? Because it's all fun and dandy. You're saying you are Malaysian, but you've never even been to Langkawi. I say the same thing. I grew up in the US. I grew up in San Francisco, and probably one of the biggest landmarks or famous places in San Francisco, besides obviously the Golden Gate Bridge and the Golden Gate Park and things like that, is, I'm sure you've heard of it, Alcatraz, right? The jail, the one that almost had for many, many years, nobody was able to escape from it. It's a very highly protected and gated prison from back in the day. And I think there's now stories of 1 or 2 people who may have either escaped or tried to escape from Alcatraz with or without luck. I have no idea. I should read up on that history. But the thing is, Alcatraz being one of the most famous places and landmarks in all of San Francisco, I lived in San Francisco. I grew up there and I stayed for over 20, 25 years in that area. I have not once ever went to Alcatraz. I went to the Golden Gate Bridge. We crossed it many times, and you can actually see it. It's a view, right? You can actually see Alcatraz because you need to take a boat there, but not once did I ever visit it. So I know exactly what you mean, Janice, when you said that you live in, or you're Malaysian, but you've never been to Langkawi. I'm sure there are also many other places in the country fine nation of Malaysia, which you and I both also have not visited. And that's probably going to be a goal that we're going to have very, very soon. In fact, I was talking with my family. I was saying, it's been so long since we traveled, right? It's been so long because previous to this, we actually traveled every single month. It was just the lifestyle that we chose to do. And we had fun. We love to travel. We enjoy seeing new places, staying at hotels, having different experiences. And it's been 1 full year almost since we came back from Taiwan, which is our last international trip. At the end of last year, we came back early this year after ringing in 2020 saying, we're going to travel so much more this year. We're going to have so much more fun. We're going to do all these really cool things. And after we came back the first week of January, got off the plane, never got on another plane since. So, but of course, before that, we still traveled to different cities. We went to KL, we went to Ipoh every single weekend, just because we have an office in KL. So, half work purposes and for business. But of course, traveling, having road trips was just something that we really, really enjoyed doing as a family. So really cannot wait for all of those cool things to happen once again. Knight is saying, must describe solution which save individual's life means career in his last session of life when he have almost no source. Thank you, Knight, for sharing. Whatever it is that you are sharing right now, it sounds inspirational, finding solutions and things like that. I am all up for this. Absolutely. Janice is saying, yes, I'm from KL and now live in the UK, a very nice place to live in the UK. I've traveled and visited multiple times. Really want to travel there again as well. You got to book ahead to go to Alcatraz. Yeah, I'm sure you do. And maybe that's another reason why we didn't. Right? Because I like to do things spontaneously. Shirley, what's up, girl? Good to see you. She says, hey, Simon, here to support. I actually see you like and comment in some of my replay videos. I'm not sure if you actually joined live or not, but it's great to see you live here now. It's great to see you finally interacting here, because I'm sure just like with many of us in the Groove community, people want to hear and learn more from you. You are a great inspiration, and I'm seeing some of your recent posts saying that you have just been invited to speak at all these different conferences with all these different big names. So congratulations, Shirlene, for all of that. Thank you for supporting me. Let me know how I can support you as well, because that is absolutely what we are here to do. We support one another. Pluto Man from YouTube, we are engaging for the very first time. So congratulations and welcome to the community. Welcome to my live streams. Pluto Man says hi. I appreciate you saying hi back to you as well. And so for all of you who are wondering what I was talking about moments ago in regards to the Groovathon, learn more about that at simonleon.com/Groovathon. And if you happen to be joining us for the very first time and you have no idea what we're here to do, we basically share as much value as we can in regards to internet marketing, in regards to live streaming, in regards to living the internet lifestyle. I never have anything to sell on these things, so don't worry about having to invest in anything. If there's anything that I would recommend to you, they wouldn't be my own products or anything like that. One such product that I do recommend, which you can start for free anyhow, would be the Groove community. It's where I met Shirlene, it's where I met Janice, and a whole bunch of people whom we interacted with moments ago, in nights as well. So come here, join the Groove community for life for free by going to myinternetbuilder.com. And whether or not you signed up with my link, we also want this to be an opportunity for us to connect as much as possible. So I also have for you, just for being here, if obviously you're not here, you wouldn't know about this, I invite you to be a part of my free mastermind group. If you go to simonleon.com/mastermind, you will find out exactly how you can join us for free and all those cool things. So as we kind of wrap up on our topic of today, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the Groovathon, since we are on that topic. We're on that subject, but on the topic of how you can talk for hours and hours and hours at a time. Interestingly enough, right? If you know anything about the Groovathon, it was definitely some of the most biggest learning experiences of my life. Because even though I have done a lot of live events, in-person events, I've been doing seminars for a decade and a half. I have no issues talking when there are people in front of me. However, previous to that, I had never once, previous to the Groovathon, which you can see more about behind me as well, I had never once actually gone on live stream. I've done YouTube videos, right? I've done interviews. I've done live shows. I've done live webinars. I've done personal, different type of private events for my own students where I can see them sometimes, or they're always interacting, or I'm talking to a person who's asking me questions or whatever else. But here's the thing. I have never actually turned on my very own live stream and talked to the camera without having anyone back me up, without having somebody to talk to, without actually having anything that I was really supposed to do. And so when they first announced the 14-day Groovathon, they just kind of pushed me into this whole group at night thing where every single night for 14 days in a row, I needed to take over anywhere between 4 hours to 8 hours. I've been as long as 12 hours in front of the camera in this chair because nobody else was able to do anything because the majority of their team were in other parts of the world, in the US, and it was sleepy time for them, right? And so that really gave me the opportunity to practice doing live stuff, right? To be on for hours and hours and hours at a time. Previously, when I was very uncomfortable, even doing my own live streams, which will be 5 or 10 minutes, right? Imagine if suddenly I was pushed into something where for every single day, for 14 days, I needed to be on for 8 to 12 hours, right? Imagine the kind of pressure that I had, but at the same time, I was excited for the opportunity to master a new skill, right? To be able to now face the camera, potentially talking to walls, not knowing how many people will be watching me, and still be able to speak for hours and hours and hours at a time and practice my interaction skills, practice my talking skills, my monologue capabilities, and whatever it is that I could do. So during the Groovathon, what did I do? I used that as an opportunity to practice telling stories. I told a lot of stories, right? I shared a lot of experiences, many of which kind of became inspirational, right? Many of which were more motivational. So I used that to somehow share different things in between. But of course, I didn't want the pressure on myself to actually talk for a dozen hours, half a day, every single day, right? So what I did was I also practiced my skill of reaching out to my network, right? Talking to people and asking them if they would be interested on being on the show. That was something that I was previously not comfortable doing, right? Reaching out and just talking to people and asking them if they wanted to do something, even though it wasn't necessarily a favor, it was in fact an opportunity, right? For whoever wants to actually join us, it was an opportunity for them to be in front of hundreds of thousands of potential people, right? Because there's over 200,000 members of the actually there's now over 300,000 members of the Groove community. Okay. And so it was an opportunity for them. But then here was something else that I also found interesting. I found that I wasn't the only one who was nervous about going on live TV. Charlene, actually, right? One of the people that I actually invited to join, she was probably one of the more nervous as well, even though I believe she had the skill. I believe that she was able to do it. She actually ran her own virtual summits, and she is an entrepreneur, and she has her own clients, and she's able to get affiliates for her affiliate commissions for the Groove program and everything along those lines. So I figured that, she would be a good person to interview, to share with the community. Little did I know, and unexpectedly, she was nervous, right? And I said, yep, we're just gonna chit chat about stuff for 2 hours. And she's like, what, 2 hours? What am I going to talk about, right? And so with all these different things, it just goes to show, if you're passionate about something, if you have the right guidance, if you know what you want to do, and you have something that you want to talk about, Well, the cool thing is that hours and hours of time can go by very quickly. For Charlene, before she knew it, right? Not only did I talk to her, but we also invited Asher. We also invited David Lemon, both whom you saw a glimpse of yesterday, right? Asher being a guest on the show, and David Lemon actually leaving a comment. They actually ended up joining her as well. And so that 2 hour, boom, went by just like that, right? And so all the combinations of different things that we talked about today, however it is that you want to use it. Do you want special guests? Do you want to interact? Do you want to engage? Do you want to ask questions? Do you want to answer questions? Do you want to tell stories, right? Do you want to share experiences? Do you want to just spread time and maybe even talk more slowly, right? Here's the thing. When you talk more slowly, number one, it does give you the opportunity to use up more time, of course, right? I have the tendency to talk a little bit faster. So I'm a bad example, right? I do not practice every single one of the points because if I wanted to, I could, but I don't need to necessarily fill up more time. If I'm in a live audience setting where I'm talking for 2-3 days straight, then yes, maybe I would talk more slowly, right? But here's the other advantage of talking more slowly, especially if you are in a training environment. When you talk more slowly, you give the opportunity for your students to absorb more content. You give them the opportunity to listen and understand more of what you're saying. And especially if you're in different parts of the world, and maybe the language that you happen to be training in is not their first language, right? A great example would be when I am training, doing actual full hands-on interactive training where people actually need to take action steps, right? Here in Malaysia, for the majority of the people whom I speak with, right? We have people who their first language are Chinese. Some people in their first language is Mandarin. Some people's first language is Cantonese. Some people's first language is Hokkien or another dialect of Chinese. We have some people whose first languages may be Malay, right? Or Bahasa Indonesia, or it might be one of the Indian languages, right? Because it's a very multicultural type of environment. And in our classes, we have multicultural students. And so in that type of environment, I know that not everybody necessarily can pick up my language in my accent if I'm speaking in English and I'm speaking a little bit too fast and it might be in an accent that they're not used to, right? Then I would need to be more mindful of speaking a lot slower. Even when I'm speaking in Chinese, whether it's Mandarin or Cantonese, right? My accent is also a little bit different than the one that they speak. The terminology, the vocabulary may also be different because in Malaysia, right? Let's say just say, for example, the Cantonese compared to the Hong Kong Cantonese, there are certain levels of differentiations, right? Some words may be different. Some tonalities may be different. Some grammar may be different. And the same goes with the kind of Mandarin that I speak. It's also not natural to the ones that are spoken here locally. Okay, so in that respect, whatever language that I speak, I would have to force myself to speak a lot slower. And so when you talk slower and it is a slow speech, right, then obviously this gives you more opportunity to use up more time as well. So in terms of a lot of the different ways that we can continue to share different types of experiences, yes, getting different types of people to come in. And a great example, again, during the Groovathon, I used the combination of all of those, talking slowly as well, especially when I had guests who were maybe local Malaysians or maybe people who said to me, right, that English is not their most comfortable language. And so I spoke more slowly to them. These are all things that we need to adapt to. Hope a lot of these tips have been helpful to you. Again, if you are joining us for the very first time, or if this was helpful to you, let us know in the comments, interact. Let us know what questions you may have, what comments you want to leave, because at the end, I do really want to make sure that if at all possible, I want to engage with you as much as we can. So if you are in luck, and people whom you are talking with, right? They actually are interacting with you. one good news is they will actually tell you what they're interested in. So another great example, right? For the last few days, I've been talking about live streams. I've been talking about different things on what to expect about entrepreneurship, about different problems, how to solve different problems that you might be facing. And then sometimes we will get comments from people who are watching us from, let's say, for example, YouTube, and they will ask me YouTube related questions. They'll ask me, can you still monetize on YouTube? They'll ask me, can I use TikTok? Can I do compilations? How can I create a channel without showing my face and things like that? When in reality, our topic was completely different. However, when that happens, it is your audience, right? They are telling you what they want to hear about. So those are all great topic ideas that you can talk. You can save it for the future if you want, or you can put it on the list to talk about later on. So all these people who are watching you and who are not shy to interact with you, right? They will actually do a good job in helping you to get ideas on what you should be talking about as well. In addition to that, if they are active, ask them, like I said, questions, or maybe even take polls. If they're quiet or if they're not interactive, that's another thing, right? Like, for example, today we have somewhat of a lesser interactive crowd, so it's a bit quiet, right? And that's okay. That's when your backup topic comes into play. That's when you say, okay, now I don't have anything to talk about anymore, right? Or maybe I don't have any questions to answer, or I don't have any engagements that I can do with you because nobody's interacting with me. But at the very same time, you can still have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, or even beyond that if there are certain amounts of time, like a time frame that you want to settle. Okay, so let's move on into how we can figure out what those topics might be, how we can figure out what that plan B or that plan C might be if, in fact, people are not interacting with you. Well, we talked about this a few days ago. Ask yourself these questions, okay? Ask yourself, what are you passionate about? Because when you're passionate about something, you can go on for hours and hours and hours at a time, right? And you can continue to talk on that topic even when nobody's asking you questions, and you will automatically yourself start thinking about different things that you can branch out to. And what was originally scheduled for 5 minutes, you can now go on for 10 minutes or more. Another great example, during the first day of the Groovathon, David Lemon asked me to come up and say something for 5 minutes, right? I wasn't scheduled to be up, but he needed to take a break. And so for 5 minutes, I was supposed to come up, say hi. He asked me a question and he said, answer this question. I'll be right back, right? So I expected to answer a 5-minute question and he was going to come back in 5 minutes. But before I knew it, I start seeing all these messages from him saying that he cannot log back into the platform. I see him communicating with the rest of the team, and he was saying, oh my gosh, I cannot go back in. And the rest of the team, right, including Donald Fox, they're saying, oh yeah, don't worry about it. Simon is still on live, right? So that gave me more pressure. I was only supposed to talk for 5 minutes. I was only preparing for 5 minutes. That 5 minutes turned out to be close to 1 hour until finally David Lemon was finally ready to come back. He was ready to log back in without any problems, and he was able to take over again. And unfortunately, at that time, it was probably one of my very first experiences with StreamYard. I had no idea how to interact. I had no idea that I can click on a question and it will show up and I can just address it just like what I'm doing in my live streams, right? It was my very first time. And so it was literally a 1 hour monologue. Maybe once or twice got interrupted when David Lemon was able to come back and say, hey, I'm back. And then poof, he disappeared once again, right? And so that was a tremendously traumatic yet productive and constructive experience for me, because it trained me, right, to talk about things that I was passionate about. And I got myself onto tangents and I started talking about things that I was passionate about. And that's why for an hour, unplanned, right, I was able to go on for that amount of time simply because the topic that I happen to be talking about was something of passion that I was interested in. Another thing to think about, what are you actually good at? What would you consider yourself to be good at? It could be something considered or associated with what you do at work. Are you good at programming? Are you good at graphic design? Are you good at talking to people? It can be something personal, right? Are you good at knitting? Are you good at singing? Are you good at playing music, some kind of instrument? Are you good at fashion? Are you good at makeup? Are you good at doing hair? Because if you are, then we need to talk, because I think I need a makeover, right? Are you good at coming up with different things to wear? Are you good at fashion? Are you good at interior design? Are you good at mowing the lawn? Whatever, right? Whatever it might be that you are good at, talk about those. Because chances are, if you're good at it, you're also passionate about it. And now the two come together, right? Because you're so good at it, you're passionate about it, you can talk for hours and hours and hours at a time. And regardless of what questions people might ask you, you would still be able to answer it as well. Another question that you can ask yourself, what do your family and friends ask you advice on, right? So this doesn't necessarily have to do with you thinking that you are good at something, but rather what other people think that you are good at. Here's a great example, right? For Asher, every single time that I invited him on, whether it was at the Groovathon, right, which you can see, learn more about here, or whether it was during my sessions, we always talk about different things. We talk about entrepreneurship. We talk about, mindset stuff. We talk about psychology. We talk about what determines success. But every single time that he does the presentation, every time that he talks, every time that he does some type of demo or something, he always demonstrates something really cool that he does with his computer, right? With his software, with his devices. He's able to use something called OBS for free, and he's able to, do all these cool tricks on the screen, right? He's able to draw on it, and he says all he does is he uses an iPad. It's not even anything fancy, right? He's able to show his presentation screen, and he doesn't have to use the share screen function of StreamYard or Restream or anything along those lines, right? And even David Lemon, when he saw that for the very first time, he was like, he asked me personally, how is he able to show himself on the screen and use this thing at the same time, right? And I told him, well, I think it's OBS and whatever else. But in regards to that, right, it's not just the tool, it's not just the software. You also need to learn how to do it, right? So not only David Lemon, but me. Every time we see Asher do something like that, we always say, hey, at some point, we need to do a session with you where you actually show us how you do that, right? How you're able to show all these cool things on your screen. And even though it wasn't his topic of content, right? That's not what he was talking about at all. He was talking about his concepts. He was talking about his courses. He was talking about his psychology stuff, right? And mindset stuff and how to be successful. Yet we are asking him advice on those, right? So that's a perfect example. What do your family and your friends ask you advice on, even though he wasn't previously thinking about doing a course on live streaming or lighting or anything along those lines, right? Or technology and software. I think it's something that he should consider because Asher, we all want to know how you do these things, right? And so that is a perfect example. What do your family and friends ask you advice on? Then what kind of help do strangers ask you, right? People whom you don't even know, people whom you've never even met. What do they ask you questions about? Another example, right? For me, I'm doing a lot of these live streams. A lot of times they are people whom we have met in the past, right? People from the Groovathon, right? People from my mastermind, my previous students, my friends, my family, whatever, right? People whom I've known for a decade or longer, 10 years plus, right? These are people that know you. But I also, from time to time, get people from YouTube who somehow ran across the live stream, or from Facebook on my page who are not necessarily directly connected with me as friends, right? And I get questions from them. They say, how do I make money with Google Sites? How can I earn ad commissions, get monetized with YouTube channels, right? How can I create videos without showing my face? Can I do compilations, right? With TikTok, with Instagram, with all these different things. Again, I don't know them, but they're strangers to me at the time until we get to know each other better. But that's a great example of what kind of help do strangers ask from you, right? So in other words, what are you known to be able to do in your space, right? What do people ask you because they see that you are good at something? Not to be confused with what your friends and family ask you because they know you a little bit better, right? But for people who are complete strangers, somehow they know me as the Google guy, right? Or the YouTube guy, or the ad monetization guy, or how to actually make money with videos online without showing your face. That's what they know me as, right? And so what do they know you as? What questions do they ask you? Think about that, and that can be your topic. And then, what does your dream business consist of? How would you live your ultimate lifestyle, right? Would your dream business be similar to mine, where I don't need to work until late at night when my family is sleeping so that I can spend more time with them during the day? Do you want something that will only take 1 or 2 hours of your day, and the rest you can outsource or work with partners, right? There are many different ways that you can think about. In fact, spend some time, write down in your notes, what is your dream business? Something where you don't have to do much and just have other people do for you, right? Something where you want to actually focus on your utmost expertise, and you want to spend the majority of your time of your day on the business, right? Because you have the time to spare, right? Your dream business is going to be different for everybody. Is your dream business only consist of talking once or twice a day for 1 or 2 hours, right? When I did my speaking business, that speaking business did not require me to talk more than 1 or 2 hours, sometimes 3, for the entire week, right? Because I only had one session. And after that one session, which was over in just a few hours, I was already done until the following week for that particular business, right? Of course, during the week and the rest of the time, I ran other businesses. I did other things. But if that was what you wanted to do, and that was what you all only wanted to focus on, that one business was already a 6-figure business for me, right? I did not have to do another thing with my time if I didn't want to, but I chose to, right? I chose to push myself. I chose to learn new skills. I chose to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's why I'm able to do so many things all at the same time. So write down what your dream business consists of. Finally, ask yourself, what would you do even if it's for free? What would you do even if it meant that you are not charging anything for it, right? I will tell you, a lot of the things I'm doing right now, I'm so passionate about them, I'm doing them for free, right? Some of you may find value in what I'm sharing, some of you may not. But for those of you who do find value, I'm doing this for free, right? I'm not inviting you into a class. I'm not inviting you into a paid mastermind. In fact, I'm inviting you into a free mastermind. So everything is for free. What I'm sharing, because I'm passionate about it, because I want to connect with you, because I want to interact, right? Because as always, from the moment I started my whole internet entrepreneurship journey, I wanted to impact lives in any way possible, right? Right now, it comes with a time. I'm doing what I can for free, expecting nothing in return, asking for nothing in return, and really will not plan to have anything in return either. So if you find value in what I'm sharing, great. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. But if you don't, right, it's also not an invitation for you to say bad things about how this is crap, this is wasting your time, whatever. A lot of people do that, right? That's where haters come in. People who don't appreciate you come in. I made actually 1 or 2 YouTube videos that address just that. But still, to this very day, you will still see hate messages. You will still see people with negative mindsets who have poor attitudes, who don't know any better. They will still take time out of their day just to say bad things about you, about your video, about your contents for no apparent good reason. It's free, right? If you don't like it, walk the other way. Nobody is putting a gun to your head and saying you must watch my video, you must absorb my content, and you must interact. Nobody is forcing anybody to do that. So if it's not for you, as they say, right? If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. If you don't have a good experience, walk away, okay? Block my channel, block my videos, ban my entire profile. It doesn't matter, right? It is uncalled for you to find any opportunity that you can to say bad things about people, to insult them, to insult their intelligence, to insult their appearance, to insult anything about them. That's just not the way that we should be acting as human beings, right? So a little bit off tangent, but yes, all these things, even if you have nothing but the best intentions to do things for absolutely free, you will still get people who don't appreciate them. For those people, we say, this is not for you. Thank you very much. Maybe our paths will cross again later on in the future, but now it's not the right time. Here is not the right place. Thank you very much. All the best to you, right? That's it. That's all you need to do. But for those of us who have been there, have done that, we expect these kinds of things, and we're still saying, okay, regardless, we will still provide this value for free because I enjoy providing this value. Despite all these people saying bad things about me, despite all these people who are literally offending you, right? And making fun of you and insulting you, and still you look past that and you still say, I will still continue to do this for free, right? Then you have found your passion. And when you found that passion, in due time, you will be able to share as much as you can for hours and hours at a time. In the end, we just want you to be comfortable, right? Comfortable and openly sharing a particular topic. What are you okay talking about? What are you comfortable to be providing value on? This, in the end, is the most important. And again, you will get tough questions. You will get trolls. And before you even think to yourself, how can I start this? How can I figure out the best topic? How do I know how to talk for hours? You need to know to, again, expect the unexpected. What's going to happen when those trolls come for you? What's going to happen when the tough questions do come in? Are you going to address them? Are you going to ignore them, right? Is that going to ruin your mood? Are you going to say, I am now not so happy anymore, and everything completely changes, right? You need to know how you can address all these concerns and how you can handle it. In one of the last previous sessions over the last 8 or 9 days, right, I talked about the poker face. How can you see something that you don't like? How do you observe different things that are happening to you, and you are still able to have that poker face and still be able to continue without having that affect you, right? This is a very, very difficult skill for you to accomplish, but once you have it, nothing will be able to stop you. I talked about, I have trolls, I have people in my seminars who do not listen, who do not pay attention, who actually are throwing fit and tantrums. Even 60, 70, 80-year-olds, aunties and uncles, right? They're throwing tantrums. Who knows, right? Who would have thought? They crumble pieces of paper and they throw it at you, right? How do you deal with those situations? For me, I talked about this a few days ago. I address the crowd and I say, yeah, you're going to meet people who are very, very immature, right? But then that's just the way life is going to be. Or you can go the other way, right? And you can say, oh yeah, you are a horrible person. Get out. I don't want to see you ever again, right? This person is evil. This person is whatever. Any insulting adjective, insert here, right? I've seen people who do that. I've observed people who do that and say that about me. But it tells you much more about who they are when they use those kinds of languages, when they use those type of methods, when they do these type of things that are evidently immature, right? It is insensitive and in some cases, also very illegal in the case of people who have actually defamed me, right? Defamation, slander, libel, these are all illegal. But at the same time, again, we cannot control what other people do. The most important thing is how will you deal with it? So the way that you will handle it, the way that you solve these problems, right, in a much better way than how all these other people are causing the problems, when you're able to do that, that will dictate when you are ready to actually be in the forefront of all these different opportunities. Okay, so all these different things, take them into account. It's not just about the topic. It's not just about how long you can be talking. It's not even about the value that you can provide, because not everybody is going to appreciate that value. How will you handle it the moment that you get trolls? Okay, so as we finish, we always want to invite, for those of you who are here right now joining us, whether it was on time, early, or late, make sure that you leave a comment. Let us know what you're doing over here, how you're enjoying the session, and everything along those lines. We see Kat. Nice to see you, Kat. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for saying hi. Janice is saying, certainly help when you have passion on something. I absolutely agree. Genesis for me is generally my friends who do the asking. They ask me for financial matters, relationship, cooking, and health. And that's exactly what we're talking about, right? What do your friends ask you advice on? Which means that evidently they perceive you to be some type of experts in that space, right? Which probably means that there's potential for you, right? Or as we like to say in Malaysia, potential for you lah, right? You can go ahead and consider that for some of the topics that you might want to discuss. Kat says, so true, Simon. Thank you very much. Janice says, shame on them. There are many shameful people in this world. I unfortunately had the displeasure to know many of them. We're not going to name any names because for me personally, unless they cross yet another line where I am forced to defend myself with no other choice, right? I usually do my part, and despite the very evil things that they do to me, I still make sure I protect their identity. We do not scoop down to their level. We do not do the same thing. We have no control over the things that they do or say, but we have control over the things that we do and we say. So always choose to make the right choice. Shame on them, but make sure it's not shame on us. Janice continues to say, yes, Simon, you get all sorts. That's what makes up this world. Interesting, right? Our friend Yamin, how are you doing, buddy? It's been a while since the last time we connected. I believe it was on the Groupathon. He says, hi, Simon. Harris Mac is also saying hi, Simon. So hi to the two of you. Make sure if you're joining us now for the very first time because you somehow just saw me when you're scrolling down your Facebook newsfeed or whatever else, it probably means that your notifications are not turned on. Okay, so go ahead, come here to either youtube.com/Simon Leung or right here, facebook.com or fb.me/the Simon Leung. Like, subscribe, follow, click on the bell notification so that you are notified the next time that we go live, because I literally can go live at any different times simply because I want to surprise you as well as surprising people who are in different time zones. So we're never on at the same time, at the same day. But I believe that, of course, if you are here and you are listening to me, everything happens for a reason. We are destined to do cool things and big things together. All right. So thank you, all of you, for joining in. Yamin is adding in what I say. Love for others. Love for other what you love for yourself. Give love to others in the same way that you would give love for yourself, right? So absolutely agree with different concepts such as that. All right. Now, conclusion as we wrap up today's session. Ultimately, it is your show, right? It is your live stream. And if there are people who don't appreciate you, people who don't want to listen to what you're saying, people who are not interested in your topic of the day, don't want to hear you ramble on for hours and hours and hours, even though that is the name of the game, right? It's okay, right? You can't be everything to everybody. Not everybody's going to be interested in what you have to share. Even if you do live events, you will start to see that for some people who are rude and don't have really much courtesy or manners, they will stand up and they will walk out and they will leave midway throughout your presentation before you're even done, right? Yeah, it is rude and it's kind of etiquette in the seminar industry and live events that you just kind of out of courtesy stay through until the end and then you can leave whenever it's over, right? It's just common courtesy. However, what you'll notice is that, again, not everyone, the point of that, not everybody is going to like what you're sharing. And so they will leave the stream, they will leave the room, they will leave the show or whatever, right? And it's okay, right? Because again, it's your show. Theoretically, unless you're charging them and they are paying for admittance, you do not have to adapt to them. They should be adapting to you. Only people who will be interested in what you have to share will actually share with you anyway, right? They will actually attend your event anyway. They'll be listening to you anyway. So it's okay. Just share what you are passionate about. If you're not passionate about another topic, don't just change the topic simply because other people are interested in that, because that's going to ruin your flow, isn't it? If you're not passionate about that topic, you cannot go on for hours and hours. You cannot talk with passion about it, right? You cannot do it with energy. You cannot be excited about the topic yourself. So make sure that you are doing this for you, okay? Have different shows for different audiences if you need to, right? And if they're not interested, they don't have to watch. But in the end, what is the most important for you? Because it is your show and you have the obligation to at least perform for the people who are interested in you, right? Do what you are interested in. Make sure that you have fun and you are having a good time, to ensure that whoever is listening to you can feel your passion, that your energy, right, can be absorbed even through this lens right here, right, through this camera. And with that energy, they will be able to connect with you so much more. All right, so as we wind down, I now want to, of course, invite all of you who are still around to leave your final thoughts, your final comments, because we are going to call it a night very, very soon. We are not yet 2 hours, but we are approaching close to an hour and 40 minutes or so in this particular live stream. So that's just an example, right? How if you're passionate about something, you can go on for a very long time, even though it's one simple topic, right? One simple subject. How can you talk for hours, right? We're not going to be talking for hours because I don't want to talk for hours and waste your time, because we do these live streams every so often, right? So far, it's still been every single day. Maybe as part of this experiment, we'll go on for a few more days, but eventually we'll start to break them up. Okay. And so what you need to do is you need to make sure that you are interested, right? That you are passionate about your topic. Don't burn yourself out. And make sure that when you are here and we have the opportunity to connect live, obviously we want to make sure that we talk to you as well. Janice is saying Simon is a spontaneous type. Just go with the flow. Absolutely, I agree with that. Jeanette is saying bye. I think we still have to do a call later on. Okay? All right, very cool. So as we wrap up, my final thoughts for this is that, just like today, right? We talked about how you can go on for hours and hours if you want to, but it's also okay if you don't go on for hours. It's also okay if you're only planning a 10-minute, 30-minute, 60-minute, maybe less type of live stream or a show, right? Don't put that kind of pressure on yourself. You don't have to, right? You were not pushed into a 14-day live stream like I was. Right? You were not pushed into a schedule where you had to be on live for 4 to 8 hours a day for 14 days like I was. You were not pushed and forced into a situation where you had to sit in front of the camera for 12 hours a day like I was, right? So don't put that kind of pressure on yourself if you don't need to. Okay? I would say, again, do whatever is comfortable for you. Do whatever is passionate for yourself as well as for your audience. Not everybody is going to watch the whole thing anyway. Not everybody is going to join you in the beginning, and not everybody is going to watch until the end. It's just a normal part of the live stream process. In fact, it's the exact same thing when you do YouTube videos, right? People are not going to watch all the way through until the end. So in the end, ultimately, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you have fun. Be spontaneous. Boom. If you're like me, click on the go live button at any time just because you feel like it. Feel like it, just like me, right? Or if you rather plan something, then set up the whole event. Say, I'm going to be on tomorrow at 10 p.m. or today at 1 p.m. or next week, next Wednesday at 3 in the afternoon, whatever, right? Do whatever is the most suitable for you, that makes you happy, that would drive the most energy and passion from you, so that by the time that you are on these live streams, right, you can give it your all, you can share with passion, and people will also connect with you. Okay, make sure that at the end, we're just simply delivering value, similar in the ways that we always strive to do for you. And so ultimately, that is our goal. All right, so very cool. I believe that is all that I have to share with you for today. The remaining time, I will simply highlight some of these different comments. Hey, Simon, I just noticed I'm doing a lot of interacting here today. It's because Jessica is not on today. She is on sometimes, she's not on other times, but obviously for Jessica, we are a few hours behind, so it's probably close to midnight for her now in Sydney time. So it's okay, right? We do this with the intention of trying to get different audiences, but I agree, anytime that Jessica is here, she is very chatty, very interactive, comments a lot. And so for those types of shows where she is on, especially when she is on the same time with you, we can go on and on and on with a lot of different comments. Those honestly are the kinds of shows that we enjoy, or I enjoy the most, because I get to interact with all of you. And so the next time, if possible, let's schedule ahead, let's plan ahead and make sure that both of you are on so that we can have these types of spontaneous chats. Joe Friendly says, here's one before. Joe Friendly says, I prefer preparation to passion. Understandable. I'm a Buddhist. LOL. Yeah, I mean, again, everybody works differently. Like for me, as much as I try to prepare, a lot of times what I prepare ends up getting in the back burner. Like yesterday, I planned an entire thing about what topic you should talk about on your live streams, but about 20 minutes in, we invited in my guest, who was Asher, and then we started talking about something completely different. So in addition to planning, which is good, I also want to be able to adapt. I also want to be able to kind of see what is going on, and then we just kind of convert along the way as necessary. So nothing wrong with either way. It's just basically your own personal style. Joe also says, just don't do it on a Zoom call. You might lose your job at CNN if you do. Yeah, probably, because a lot of people like to go rogue here and there, and I've seen a lot of crazy things happen with with the news and the anchors and the journalists and things like that. Things that I would not repeat for myself, but at the same time, I guess, as they say, it is what it is. Jeanette says, bye. Yes, it's nothing. Wabi Leila. Okay, Kat says, love your talks as usual. Fabulous. Thank you very much. And she says, good night. Joe says, Simon, curious. How did you get into marketing e-commerce business growth in the first place? I would recommend, Joe, I believe this might be one of the first times that we have interacted. If you want to learn more about me and my story, I can go on for hours and hours and hours. And unfortunately, this is all the time that we have for today. If okay for you, I recommend that you check out this simonleon.com/freedom day. It is a video story on exactly what you asked, how I got started, what inspired me, where I came from, my early days as a Google employee, and what I did for the past 15 years that ultimately got me to where I am today, doing live streams, being a part of the Cool Groove community, starting my own mastermind programs, and creating a partnership with some of the top marketers in the world where we can give you training and access to tools for absolutely free. So I highly recommend, as the first step for us to getting to know each other better, Joe Friendly, I like your name, Mr. Friendly. Definitely, let's connect as well. Let me know what questions you have by going to that particular video, comment on it, and let's connect on social media. It would be a great opportunity for us to get to know one another, and obviously let me know how I can help you and have this a mutual win-win relationship. Okay, so my story and everything along those lines, you will be able to learn more about that at simonleon.com/freedom day. It's going to be a lot more interesting than me telling you the story for the next 30 minutes anyhow. Okay, so Asher says, haha, sorry for the interjection and thanks for having me on. Hey, do not apologize. Please do not apologize. It is actually a blessing. It is actually a good bonus. I would put aside any of my pre-planned contents any day of the week to have you interject and do some spontaneous live shows, because that's an extra days of content that we can also plan out. And again, every single time that you're on, we learn something new. And I had no idea that you were so exhausted. If I had known, I wouldn't have invited you on. Maybe after that session, go check out Asher's Facebook. He just passed out on his floor with his head against his bed on the side. He didn't even have the energy to get on the bed. That's how tired Asher was. And part of that, despite his long list of things that he was doing, obviously the 2 hour of impromptu conversation that we had probably contributed to that as well. So all of you, he did this for all of us, all of you as well. Definitely very, very appreciative of you. Joe says, I will. Thank you very much. Jenna says, when will it be the day when we can voice interact without typing so I can talk in Cantonese with you for practice? Any day of the week, actually, because if you want to join us, just like how Asher was able to join us as a guest, we can actually just talk. 你想幾時啊都得啊，話俾我聽啦。隨時都歡迎 ，OK？ 歡迎光臨。You can go ahead and let me know when you want to practice your Cantonese. I have no qualms with that. Maybe Jessica will also want to join us for that. I don't know. But as far as the rest of us, if you are interested in practicing whatever, your languages, your English, your Cantonese, your Mandarin, those are all the languages that I can practice with you on. But if you want to also learn more about internet marketing, you want to learn about online business, how I got started, how I can help you, how you can help me, how we can mutually help each other and be partners on different things that we do, I highly, highly recommend that you get in touch with me. As always, just gonna get on these different comments. Get on the comments, let me know that you're interested in interacting. That is exactly how you will actually be able to interact with me, right? By asking. You don't ask, you don't get, right? That's what we talked about either yesterday or the day before. Janice is asking, and so she is gonna get. Let's prepare to welcome her sometime soon in the future for one of these live sessions, because I imagine it would be a lot of fun. Joe says Cantonese, huh? Well, then free Hong Kong, hashtag free Hong Kong. We typically don't like to talk about politics here because, while everybody obviously has their own political views, one thing that we don't want to do is we don't want to offend anybody or make people feel bad, right? So that's what I usually see happening, regardless of which side you choose, whether it's US politics, whether it's Hong Kong politics, whether it's Malaysia politics now, right? Regardless of which side we choose, there's always going to be another side who is going to take offense to what you say. And, when push comes to shove, one thing leads to another. It becomes something that is very negative. It becomes something that is very immature, very unprofessional. And just for us, we typically just want to prefer to stay away from that. That's not to say that we don't have views ourselves. We obviously do. You have your own views. I have my own views. I just choose not to share with them publicly, simply because we want everybody to feel welcome. We're friendly, right? Like Joe Friendly. We're friendly to everybody. We want to make sure that everybody feels at home, and we don't want to alienate everybody. But if personally you and I want to have a personal chat, I'm sure that is definitely welcome, right? That would be the only kind of environment where I would let my political views air out, so to speak. Janice is saying yes, and also on internet marketing. Jessica says, hey, Simon, just realized that you're on live. You joined us at just the right time when we are saying our goodbyes. I thought you had my notifications on for at least 2 different profiles, Jessica. Maybe you just weren't checking your phone, or maybe it just wasn't working. We thought that you were sleeping already. But regardless, here's another way, right? You have 2 notifications on my Facebook. Turn on your notifications as well on my YouTube channel, okay? So either one way or another, whether by SMS, by your email, by notifications, either from the Facebook app or from the YouTube app, you will get notified. Hopefully, if everything works out, the next time that I am live, so that you, along with Janice, can come on, interact, engage, and just a whole bunch of comments coming in and out, okay? But thank you very much for coming on, Jessica, even if it is towards the end. Joe says, like the intro to your video, nice use of Google Earth. Yep, I think you're watching my Freedom Day video already. So for those of you who are joining me right now, just now for the first time, go to simonleon.com/freedom day. Again, that's simonleon.com/freedom day. That is the video that Mr. Joe is talking about. I recommend that you watch it again, probably when you're not kind of multitasking, because there's a lot of really big golden nuggets that you want to get from that particular video, which you'll ultimately only be able to get when you're focusing and paying attention. Okay, so Jessica is saying, hi, Janice, great to see you here again. Donnie is saying, hello, bro, how are you? Hello, Puck, very good, nice to see you. Terima kasih for joining us. Next time, join us earlier so that we can interact a little bit more. Avil is saying hello from Israel. Very cool. We are expanding our reach. Very cool. We have individuals also from Czech Republic who joined us earlier today, and yesterday or the day before, we had people from Zimbabwe. So it's very cool that we are slowly garnering a worldwide audience. Janice is saying, hi, Jessica. Your name was being mentioned earlier. Yep, we always talk about you because you are interactive. Joe Friendly says, yes, I am. Probably talking about the Freedom Day, right? So thank you very much. Highly recommend that all of you check that out as well. Jessica replying to Janice to say, hope all is good. So very cool. All right. For those of you who are again joining us for the first time, I recommend that not only do you check out our Freedom Day video over here, but also connect with us, subscribe, like and comment on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Get those bell notifications turned on so that the next time that we go on live, which could be at any time during the day, I want to invite you to join us and interact, because this is what our community is all about. If you check out any of my previous live streams, that's the main thing, right? If you interact, you talk with me, I talk to you, and it becomes a lot more lively. But if nobody is interacting, nobody's on these live shows, then unfortunately, the show is going to end a lot earlier. But this is an opportunity for you to interact, for us to get to know each other, for us to connect, for me to answer your questions, for you to answer mine, right? This is how the best of the world's best, top, most successful relationships begin, through interaction, through connecting, through reconnecting. If we already know each other for a number of years, now is our opportunity to do all of that. So I recommend, just like Joe, just like Jessica, just like Janice, all of us just take advantage of this opportunity to connect as much as possible. Tomorrow is another day, and tomorrow I do plan on going live again. So make sure that these notifications are in fact turned on, so that when I do go on, which again can be at any time, I want to make sure that I see you, that we can have another great show with you, a big part of that, just like tonight. All right, so it is officially 10 p.m. my time. Good night for those of you who are in this time zone. Good day, good evening, good morning, good afternoon for those of you who are in other parts of the world. Regardless, we will see you again next time, and keep those notifications turned on. I will catch you on the next one and have a lot more fun. In the meantime, cheers. Adios. We'll catch you.